Hello. At this point of the design, we're going to start laying out our building and providing access to all floors with stairs. Let's start with our first floor. On our first floor, you will see we have a brief layout of spaces such as interior design collection, elevator, restrooms, as well as admin and conference room areas. You will see dimensions on the PDF drawings. You will see there are doors and openings into the spaces, and there are some lines that have different colors, as well as the stairs. In order to understand all of those things, you should refer to the following two documents that are uploaded to D2L. Number one being the tutorial part 2 document that talks about different components that you need to include in your project. You can upload them in your project all at once or one by one as you go along with the project. For instance, the first one deals with selecting the exact type of door that I'm using for exterior walls. You go to the, in English and Imperial, library, you go to doors, commercial. From commercial, you select door exterior double to light. When you select that door, you'll have an option to select the size, and you pick the size. The same process goes for interior doors, only for restrooms, and interior doors for the rest of the spaces, as well as interior walls. This is the partition type, and interior half walls. Again, review the document and you should be good to go. Another PDF document deals with the overall layout of the plans, the first, second, third, and rooftop deck. All of them are on one sheet. This is just for a generic idea of what the layout may seem like. Then an enlarged version. As you can see, there are also some callouts that explain different things. For instance, the cyan explains that this is a specific type of line used. Yellow, it means it's a half wall. And again, read those carefully. I try to provide screenshots of things that you need to look out for and what you need to do. But as long as you have a PDF, you have the dimensions, you know exactly what type of wall assembly you're using, you should be good to go. Second floor is very similar. Third floor is very similar. Again, it's just the laying out of spaces. Then on the rooftop deck, we're going to change our floor slab to also include insulation and also include the walkable surfaces. And I have provided several layers that you would need to add to your floor slab on the rooftop deck. So as long as you do all of these, you should have the same thickness and the same location of the rooftop deck. For the walls on top of the building, you're going to use the same walls as on the exterior wall. And this is what your building needs to look like in the elevation view. For this project, I'm not going to ask you to create sheets. I came to know that Adobe Reader actually does not show up in Revit as a PDF editor or reader, so we'll have to try a different way. But this is the basic roof construction. It's already preset for you, generic 9-inch. You can use them for the two pieces of the building. Again, this is the preliminary idea of what your building layout should include. Afterwards, we're going to start adding exterior stairs for egress, exterior facade windows, as well as trying to lay out the furniture and plumbing fixtures, ceiling plans, and so on. A few things I'd like you to keep in mind whenever you're designing this plan. On the first floor at the bottom left corner, you will see this is not a typical wall. This is actually a curtain wall. And the way you go about creating one is you go to your walls, and you will see at the very bottom there are 3 different types of curtain wall. The one you would like to use for this one is the storefront one. You don't have to worry about the spacing of these things, the rectangles, which are called mullions. But once you do go into and create a box that has the curtain wall around it, you need to create a door. And the way you go about doing this is essentially hover over one of the rectangles, the bottom one preferred. You'll see there's a pin. Unpin it and delete it. Then tab press tab several times to select different elements. So press it until you select the narrow rectangle, press it again, and press the pin. You will see an option here on the left side to do something with this wall. You can make it into an actual wall, or you can do something such as put a door glass. But the way you go about putting a door glass in is that you first have to include it into your components. So go to the Insert tab, Load Family, go to Doors. Under Doors, you will see Door, Curtain Wall, Single Glass, and just open it. Once you do, you'll have an option whenever you select this piece of glass on the top left side to change it to the door curtain wall, and then you can change direction of its swing. Another portion of design to look out for is the half walls. Half walls essentially are the walls that are only reaching up to a certain height. For example, in this case, the front desk, two walls, one on the left, one on the bottom. If you see the base constraint, this is the first floor, which is standard, but the top constraint is unconnected and only 4 feet. Or another way of doing this, you can make the top constraint be first floor as well, and offset the first floor by 4 feet. This is going to produce the same result, but this time you'll actually be able to see the sheathing on both sides of the metal stud. However, either way is fine. In some locations, you're going to see where two walls meet, they do not meet all the way through. There's actually a gap, or not a gap, it's more of they butt join together. And the way you can create this is, first of all, this wall right here stretches all the way from the first floor to the roof. So it goes through the slab. Versus this wall only goes from the first floor to the second floor. So in order for you to have this wall not join with the other one to indicate the height difference, you select the wall. For instance, if I go to a different wall type, this one, and on the left side you can see this circle. Right click on the circle and click Disallow Join. And what it does, it allows you to pull it into or anywhere else around the building, and it will not connect to another wall. In order to create stairs, go to Architecture, Stairs, and make sure you keep everything as standard, but go from first floor to second floor to third floor to rooftop deck. Make sure to reference the sections and the elevations for exact heights. And once you create a stair, you can change its width by going to Edit Stairs. You can change it over here or over here, actual run width. I try to approximate the exact length and width of the stairs and its location along the corridors. This line right here, which I have highlighted in pink, represents a room separation line, which is located in Architecture, Room Separator. If you draw it anywhere, essentially this is going to create this space into a room without necessarily you having to draw walls. And once you have this space labeled as a room, by going to Architecture, Room, you can actually now set boundaries for this location. And you can name it whatever you'd like. But if you remove them, this space is actually going to take all of this area because there is no boundaries for it until it sees another separation line or it sees a wall. Let's remove this. Whenever you select or create a room, make sure you go to the room tag, Edit Type, and uncheck everything and show none for leader arrowhead. This way you're only going to be left with the name. This right here on your left, you will see a detail group, which is essentially, if you go into my design, this is line work. Line work 10 feet in one direction, 4 feet in the other. And I connected them. I simply selected all of them. And then there's an option for you to have in the modify area to click group. Right now I don't have a chance to select it because this is already a group. But I press finish and this is a group and it moves together. And I created these at a certain distance apart and they will serve as a reference for a workstation. Make sure you also add dimensions to your drawings. They don't necessarily have to be in the exact location as I have put them, but as long as you have an indication where a certain wall ends or stops, but as long as you have an indication where a certain wall or item stops and starts, that should suffice. Go into the second floor, and for this portion of the design, you don't need to create sheets. This is just for your reference. You can see the gap between the stairs is 4 inches, one going up, one going down. Please pay attention to the way the stair is running, whether it's going south or north. Whenever you want to center something on a area, for instance, this door is centered between these two walls, essentially you dimension the walls first, and then you dimension the center line of an item, such as this one. Here it says 2 feet 5 inches, and if you go right here, you will see an equal sign, whether it's crossed out or visible like mine. If you press on it, essentially, then it will change it to the equal on both sides. Whenever you dimension things, make sure you dimension not to the gypsum board, but to the stud. For instance, when you click on dimension, faces of core is the one that you should have selected, and pick individual reference. Do not select wall faces just yet for the interior walls. Wall faces are useful for exterior walls, but center of or faces of core is recommended for the interior walls. So for instance, when I select faces of core, it does not just easily go to the outside face of the gypsum board. It goes to the outside face of the metal stud, which is exactly what I need. There will be a few areas where you would need to cut a portion of your slab in order to accommodate a shaft or a stair. For instance, if I would to go in my 3D plan, and you can see there are some doors that currently do not have an egress stair to them. We'll get to that. If I want to hide a few things, I click on them while pressing on Control and type HH. It doesn't delete them, it just hides them. And for instance, right here, if I select the second, or this is my third floor slab, and click on Edit Boundary, you'll see there are rectangles right in the middle of it. One is for the elevator shaft, right here, and one is for the stair. And the way you want to go about doing this is actually in the plan view. This is, you can see clearly, this is the shaft for my elevator, and this is a slab opening of my second floor. You will see this on the same in any floor plan view, but you have to remember which slab you picked. I picked the third floor. It means that I can modify it in any viewpoint. However, it will only modify it on the third floor. So I can stretch this and flip it if needed, and then you will be able to see that this is essentially an opening in my slab on the third floor, because this allows me to open the stair up so that I can enter, or I can get to the third floor. And similar for the rooftop deck, second floor and first floor. Try to keep attention, because if your stair for some reason is hidden, that's because you haven't created a slab opening. The easiest way to do it is, again, go into the 3D view versus the floor plan, selecting your slab, then click Edit Boundary, and then go into the floor plan and creating rectangles. Your floor plan may not look exactly like mine, because there are a few things that I have hidden to make sure it will be easier for me to read. If I were to not hide anything, I would go to my first floor. This is kind of what your first floor plan or any other plan would look like. You'll see this dotted or textured floor, which actually represents concrete. And make sure for every floor plan and every elevation you have detail level set for fine at the bottom left corner. Then you will see your section view and every other element. And please make sure to pay attention to the scale. If you change the scale manually, if you make it different from what it is right now, then all of your annotations are going to get either larger or bigger. For instance, if I were to change this from 1/8 of an inch to 3/16 of an inch, you can see that the entire drawing has changed, as well as my annotations. So try to keep it consistent so far. And this is it for this video. Thank you so much for listening.